Good morning, everyone. Myself, Vivek Pomade, Assistant Professor, Department of ISC, Savitri Institute of Technology, Rajankunte, Bengaluru. And today we're going to start with the SQL structure, query, language. So, SQL data definition and data type. SQL uses the term table, row, and column for the formal relation model terms, relations, tuples, and attributes. In SQL, actually, we're going to use each row, tables, and columns here. In SQL context, the rows we say it as a tuple, the table we say it as a relation, and the column we say it as a attribute. Because whatever the database we're creating in SQL, those databases of RDBMS, so relational database management system. So each relational database system includes a row and a column. The main SQL command for data definition is the create statement. So for while we using the create statement, we're going to create the table. We're going to create the table along with the respective attributes and the data type. So each data type and the attributes, whatever we are assigning to the assigning while creating the table, that becomes the definition. That becomes the definition for that table. So the definition is set as schema. So next is what is schema? Schema and catalog concept in SQL. So as in previous video, I explained what is schema and how to design the schema and all. So if you want, you can check out the previous video. Schema and catalog concept in SQL. An SQL schema is identified by a schema name and includes an authorization identifier to indicate the user or account who wants the schema as well as descriptor for each element in the schema. Basically, the schema nothing but before creating or before creating any of the database, once we have to first develop the schema. With the help of the schema only we can able to create the best database. So what is the schema? The schema may be like, for example, if you are trying to construct the college database like college, university database, university, this is the schema. So how to give the schema to the database? We have with the help of create command, we can assign a schema. We can create the schema for a particular person. That person will be acting as a database administrator for that schema. The schema can be assigned. How to assign the schema? How to create the schema? The schema can be assigned a name, an authorization identifier, and the elements can be defined later. Example: create schema company authorization JSmith. I want to create. We are trying to create the company database, and JSmith is the database administrator for the database company schema. So here basically we are trying to create the schema and providing and we are giving a overall control of that database to one person. That person is acting as a database administrator. The main role of administrator is having the privileges to create schema table, and he can grant some of the user account for the users, and he can give the permission for the users to access the database, to use the database, to edit the database, and to perform all those things, to give the privilege, to give the grants for the normal users. The database administrator, he needs a permission to do all those things, right? So for giving the permission while creating a schema, we are just assigning the permission for that particular person. Then second is the create table command in SQL. Basically, the create command is after creating a schema, we need to start constructing the database. So first constructing the database is nothing but you're going to create the table and assigning the attribute to the table. So how to create the table, we have a command called syntax called the create table command. Is used to specify a new relation by giving name and specifying its attribute and initial constraints. Constraints in the sense for attribute, whether the attribute is acting as a primary key or foreign key, or if you want to give any specific constraints like student name varchar of 20, the student name should be in between 20 characters, like that. All these sort of constraints are going to apply. So not null constraint also is related to primary key. So for that attribute, wherever we make that attribute as the primary key, there we can't fill the not null. So the key next entity and replacing constraint, these are some of the many constraints we can apply on the attributes. So we can apply these constraints to the table in two ways. One is implicit way, other is explicit way. Implicit way in the same means while creating the table only we're going to assign the this constraint to the attributes. If not, if we miss of creating of giving a constraint or creating a table, another method is of giving assigning the constraint to table by using explicit way. That is by using the alter command. By using the alter table command, we can externally add the constraint to the attributes. This is regarding the create table. And next is attribute data type and domains in SQL. So attribute data type is after creating a table, we need to in creating a table only we are going to give the attributes and data type. So what are the type of attributes? In attributes we are going to give the data types like for student ID we are going to give integer, for student name we are going to give varchar, and for phone number we are going to give integer. In the same way, like this, we have a number of data types we are going to use while creating a table. Some of them are given listed below here. One is numeric. Numeric nothing but an integer. Data type includes integer number of various size and floating point number of various precision. Character string, fixed length character, varying is the number of character, varying length character. So varchar. Varchar indicating is a combination of both strings and numbers. It should be placed between single notation, mark and it is case sensitive. So strings always are going to enclosed in a single notation. It's a bit string. Bit string is if you want to perform any Boolean operations like 10101 like this, there where we're going to use the bit string. Data types are either of fixed length or varying length, bit varying. Where n is the maximum number of bits, default for n is 1. So we have to use the prefix. In place of number, if we use a prefix like b, it indicating that the data type is of bit string. Next is Boolean. Boolean means if the result is true or false. Result is if the result is unknown, whether the result is true or false, there we are going to use a Boolean expression. So date and time. If you want to specify the date and time, new data type, the data like date. For example, retrieve the number of students who borrowed the book in between Jan 2017 to June 2017. So here Jan and June. For to specify these type of values in the database, we are going to use the date data type. So date here the 10 position and its components are year, month, and day. This is the syntax for this is the way format of creating the date year, month, and date. Time first is hours, next is minute, then seconds. Timestamp, the combination of both date and time, we say it as a timestamp. Here timestamp, here given the date, I mean then here we are given the time, then followed with some size will be there. There we can minimum 6 positions will be there. There we can place any other values. This is regarding the data types which I will going to use in the attribute. Next is specifying constraints in SQL. Specifying constraint we are going to see in next video. Thanks for watching the video.